Over the last year, I have realized that I have had a recurring question, whether it's on my 30-minute consultation calls or in Instagram or just talking with friends. And that is, what does it actually look like to work with me? What do I practically do with my clients? What does the timeline look like? How long does it last? What kind of changes can my clients expect? And so I decided to create a podcast all about that, both for you, my current listeners, and for anybody in the future who might have questions on what it is like to work with me. And before the episode ends, I am also going to be announcing the super secret project that I have alluded to in previous episodes that I have been working on just for you. It is part of our celebration of the 1-year anniversary of this podcast, which we hit the day that this podcast episode airs. And it is meant to bring more power and more clarity to you in your health. If you have ever wondered if there's anything more you can do in your health and get answers outside of just waiting for a doctor to tell you what to do, you are going to love our announcement today. Welcome to the Better Belly podcast, where we find freedom from food restrictions, we increase energy in our lives, and we begin to feel more healthy and vibrant than ever by finding the root causes of our health problems. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a marathon runner, functional medicine health coach, certified craniosacral therapist, gut health nerd, lover of Jesus, and owner of Better Belly Therapies, a clinic based in Ann Arbor, Michigan that works with both virtual and local clients to help them achieve the best health of their life. I am here to walk with you on your journey to a better belly and a better life. We're going to go beyond popping a probiotic and just checking out our poop. In this show, we are going to go deep into gut transformation strategies that last for your entire life. If you are ready to feel your best, get ready to roll. You are in the right place. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. Well, all right. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this episode and learning more about what it looks like behind the scenes of working with me. And just as a quick note, I want to clarify for those of you who live close to the Ann Arbor region or have heard me talk about craniosacral therapy and visceral manipulation in our podcast that there's two different things that we do in Better Belly Therapies. And one of them is hands-on in person. It's called craniosacral therapy and visceral manipulation, and it is really helpful for working with structural problems in the body. And that can be things that cause headaches and migraines and pelvic floor pain and GI problems and low back pain, and structural things can very much impact bile flow and bloating and IBS type things. But that is our in-person clinic. It's for anybody who is either local to Ann Arbor or wants to travel and work with us. Today, we're going to be talking about the biochemical remote, the functional work that we do, functional health, which is based on labs that are sent to your home. And then we collect data. And then actually from that data, we create a better plan. And so that's what we're going to be diving into. So if you're confused about what we do or what we don't do, or can you work with us, you do not have to live in Ann Arbor to work with us. If you live in the US or in Canada, we can work with you through mail and email and all the wonderful things. So as a context and a reference of why what we do is different and how what we do is different, before we get into the nitty-gritty details, it separates into 3 different categories. The first category is better information. And so pretty much every time I get on a conversation or on our 30-minute consultation call with clients, before they even jump on the call, we have them fill out an application form. And on that application form, we have a whole host of questions, including health history, goals that that you want to reach in your health, what you've tried, what hasn't worked. And then also if you have or have not taken certain labs and gotten certain tests done. And this is not just blood tests. These are actually stool tests and urine tests that are testing things like gut pathogens, aka, some type of bug that you might have, a parasite, bacteria, yeast, H. pylori, all these different things. Have you had a stool pathogen test? Have you had a food sensitivity test? And food sensitivity tests, man, we already actually have a whole podcast episode or whole podcast episodes on this. One of them is, the number one lie I hate about food, and also have intermittently talked about this throughout our podcast, that there is no one perfect food sensitivity test. And also, food is not your enemy. It's not the problem. And I'm trying to, hopefully you're starting to slowly understand that as you listen to our podcast, that food is not the enemy. It's not the reason why you have all your problems. But we do ask if you ever have had a food sensitivity test, because sometimes those can be so helpful in actually identifying or clarifying what else is going on. And so if you haven't had a food sensitivity test, we want you to be able to get one so we can get more clarity on what's going on in your body. We also ask if you've had something called a 4-point hormone test, which analyzes both your cortisol and your adrenal gland health, and also your sex hormone health. And not just your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but how well your liver is detoxing and balancing your hormones. Because if you've been listening for a while, you know that your liver is key in balancing pretty much all both the healthy and the unhealthy things in your body. Like sex hormones are very healthy, and we want to have the right balance in your liver to not be getting rid of them too fast or too slowly. And so that is part of the first category of us getting better information. 9 times out of 10, the clients we work with have never had any of these tests done. And so if you are like, well, what's different about you, and how do you work with your clients, and how is this any different than what other people are doing? One of them is that just conventional care doctors don't run these labs. They just don't. And if they do, here's the interesting thing, or say if you've gone to an integrative doctor or you've gone to a functional health doctor, which some of our clients have had. That's about the 10% of our clients who have had some of these stool pathogen tests or food sensitivity tests. There's other things going on that have caused problems of why that information hasn't gotten them results. Sometimes the test wasn't a very high quality test, and so the doctor didn't even find all the problems that could be found. Sometimes the test only tested for half of, what I say is based off of all your symptoms. I would recommend these 2 different stool pathogen tests or these 2 different tests. And so they've only gotten 50% of the picture. So our clients who have had worked with functional doctors and integrative doctors, and it's not that all functional doctors and integrative doctors don't get it right. That's not the point. If they have, you might not be listening to this podcast because you're probably feel pretty good. But if you don't feel good, you're looking for answers. And maybe you have worked with somebody who has the title functional doctor or integrative doctor. And it doesn't mean that you've exhausted your resources. And so consistently what we find is that doctors did not run the right tests or the most helpful tests. And the other things that I find is even if they're functional or integrative doctors, they don't always analyze the tests to the full extent. And I get more in depth in our episode, why does my doctor say my labs look normal when I don't feel normal? And we'll give a link in the show notes for that. It's one of my favorite podcasts we've ever done, and actually is connected to the announcement I'm making later today, or later this podcast episode. And so, but just how doctors read labs varies depending on their training. It also varies depending on how much time they literally just sit with the lab, because there are subtle markers, there's subtle hints that can go on even within the labs, even if your labs are literally in a normal range, just based off of contrast of how they relate to other markers. And so if you're going through a lab really quickly with the client, because you only spend 10 minutes or 20 minutes with them, that is typically not enough time, or it might not be, depending on their training and their familiarity with the lab, might not be enough time for them to catch all the subtleties going on in the lab. So in our work, before getting into the timeline and what are all the steps look like, because we do have a process, we're not just like, well, then we'll do this. And I guess when later we'll do that. Like, there's a process. We get you moving in your healing plan. You're not just stuck and waiting for forever. But the overarching concept is the first thing we want to do is get better information. So, did your doctor read your blood chemistry right? Did you get even the tests that are going to get you the information? Because up until this point, without testing and information, it's just guessing. It's reading blogs and saying, well, that kind of sounds like me, or that kind of sounds like me. And it's good to gather information, but I've been there and just pulling out my hair, feeling like I had everything that I read on a blog. Well, that sounds like me, and that sounds like me. And the reason for that is the body only has a certain number of symptoms it can take information from, or it can give you. You can only have, if you're going to have a headache, you can have a headache for 20 million reasons. If you're going to have a bellyache, you can have a bellyache for 20 million reasons. Your body only has so many signals it can send you. And so the testing says, okay, now that we've narrowed down based off of your symptoms of skin problems or sinus problems or period problems or GI problems, constipation or diarrhea, specific things within that can help us say, this is what we guess. And I'd say I have a pretty good guessing track record. Some of my clients are like, how did you know? Well, because I'm trained, because I'm familiar with patterns of symptoms, but we really want to test so we don't guess and we actually know what's going on. Once we have better information, we then step into the next stage, which is the better plan. And the better plan is actually, we start before we even meet. I spend typically 1 to 2 hours working on my clients' plans by gathering information they've given. We have in-depth Excel sheets that look at every single symptom, so we're not missing anything. There are some things, actually frequently, probably all the time, our clients, when they fill out our intake forms, they say, this is once that you've already started working with us. There are these just Excel spreadsheets that ask you, on a scale of 0 to 5, how much do you have XYZ symptom? They frequently say, wow, I didn't even realize how much I had going on. And at the end of the process, at the end of the 6 months together, they're like, I didn't even realize how bad I felt in so many different areas, but I feel so good now in these areas. And so I'm actually pairing the information we gathered from the labs that are taken. And these labs, again, they're sent to your home. They're done in a kit. You kind of have instructions that are given to you in the kit, and you gather a sample, whether that's typically urine or stools. One of the labs we do is actually hair, and that is for looking at mineral composition of your body and heavy metals. And we have a couple labs that might require blood, like pricking your finger, or potentially even just going in and grabbing some blood at a location. But most of the tests you can do 100% at home. You send them back in a prepaid envelope, and I get the results and I share them with you. And I take those results and I pair it with the intake forms that we do, these Excel sheet intake forms. And I say, what is the picture of you? What is going on? And from that, we get incredibly good information. We're able to kind of sift out one thing from another. And then I create a plan that's not just here's what you do tomorrow. And one thing that I find that is really, really different from how doctors work, for example, is the doctors might say, try this one thing and come back to me in 3 months. Or maybe if you're lucky, come back to me in 1 month. And it's like, oh, so you're given one antibiotic or one pill or one supplement or one strategy, maybe 2, maybe 3. And then the doctor says, come back. And so it's only a few things, and realizing by the time you're kind of as sick as you are, your body has multiple areas where it's not doing well in. If you're fighting a war and you're not doing well, like you're just not handling things, and I want you to think of your body as like it's a war zone by the time you're as sick as you are. It has multiple areas where it needs help. It doesn't just need help in defense. It also needs help in offense. It needs help in all of the hospitals that are taking care of civilians and soldiers. You need help growing food so you can feed your army. You need help everywhere. So that's kind of your nutrients is feeding the army. You need help on your offense. You need help on your defense, which is like rebuilding some of the structures that are supposed to be defensive in your body that are not working anymore, which is why you can so quickly get your symptoms, and you need to get rid of pathogens. It's just chaos. And so it can't just be one thing. And so our plan with our clients is we're developing a plan that looks at is multifactorial, and it looks at every area of the body, as many things as we can address at once. That includes diet, that includes pathogens, that includes detoxing, that includes stress reduction, everything we can kind of, improving the quality of your sleep. Everything that we can really touch on and tweak or just majorly change, we're creating that plan. And that plan isn't just do this and come back to me in a month. It's here is the stages of healing. So, we'll start, it's a 6-month plan. So the plan starts with you sitting back and letting me work through that information, and then coming back together and me delivering that information, and not you just hearing, here's what I recommend based off of your labs, and just being like having to take it off of good faith. Like, okay, I guess I hope you made the right decision, Allison. But actually, the first thing we do when we get together for your results call, where it's like this, I kind of consider it Christmas. It's like this big reveal of what did we find in all of your labs that you did at home, and all the information that you sent us. And we actually have this 1.5 hour long call. I mean, that is a long time. We don't typically even spend that much time with a doctor. I mean, I never have. And so we sit for that 1.5 hours on a recorded call, so you can look through that info and re-listen to it again if you want to hear that information. And the first thing we do is go through all your labs and say, what do these labs even mean? So that you better understand your body. You're not just like, I just feel gross, sort of, I guess. I think a lot of our clients, what they report from that call that they love is they feel so validated. Like there's just like relief on the face of, I'm not making it all up in my head. And I think you guys have even heard that on some of our testimonials that we have from Desi or from Abby or from our client C. And we can link those testimonials in the show notes if you guys want to go and you haven't heard those yet. But the clients that we work with, they're just, this is so relieving that there's actually something going on and it's not all in your head. So the first thing we do is go through those labs, and you better understand why your body is feeling the way you do, and we connect all the things we found in your labs with your fatigue or your abdominal pain or your diarrhea or your inability to sleep well or whatever it is, and we really tease all those things out. Once we go through your labs and explain what we found on them, so you really understand your body and you have that kind of increasing knowledge and education, then we go into the plan and why I'm recommending what we're recommending and how it's going to directly impact what we found on your labs, and not just that, how it's going to directly impact your symptoms, and especially your top symptoms that you are struggling with. I'm not just trying to tackle anything, but we're really trying to be specific to what you're experiencing. And then the third category of things that go on there is working the plan. That's actually the time we spend from the results call to the end of our time working together, which is 6 months later. And that is coaching calls. I have videos that you actually receive every week. We have something called the Better Belly 28-week healing series, where you learn about everything from detoxification to die-off to chemicals in the water, just so that you have a foundational understanding of all the ways that you can support yourself and help yourself. And there's practical hands-on things you can do. We talk about mindset and fear of getting better or fear of overcoming, sickness, and can you actually get better? And what goes on when in our minds when we've been sick so long and we don't even have faith, or we might be losing faith in our body's ability to get stronger. And so we just have those supplementary videos that get deposited in your email every week. And we then have coaching calls once a month for you, where we dive in. How is your protocol going? What are you so proud of yourself for? Like, what is improving? On average, our clients see an improvement in their health in 3 to 7 days after starting their protocol. That is just the average. So I always ask our clients, when did you start noticing differences? And that for some people, it's sleeping better. For some people, it's fewer cravings. For some people, it's decreased pain. Our client Desi, who has a testimonial on her 3-month follow-up, her abdominal pain decreased in 7 days. It was significantly decreased in 2 weeks. Abby Herman, who has a testimonial on here, she talks about her sugar cravings decreasing significantly in 3 days after starting her protocol. And we talked about why that was on her testimonial podcast episode. In other things that can help that really impacts. So we have the videos that you're able to access as you need, self-paced. You have coaching calls with me, helping you work the plan and working around any problems you're coming across, whether that's food problems or maybe your partner not supporting you. And sometimes it can vary on what's going on that's not working the way that you want it to. And then we also have the opportunity, or you have the opportunity. We have 2 different tracks. One is called our foundations track, which is everything I just described: the testing, all the results call, the plan that we create, the coaching calls, the 28-week healing series. That's our foundations program. And on top of that, if you want more support in food and making diet changes that we recommend, and some of our clients, they say, I've got this. I've made a lot of diet changes before, not a big deal. And some of our clients say, I do want support. I want someone to talk through me with this on how I can change, how I can meal plan around this, or just feeling confident. What snacks could I buy and what are my options based off of the recommendations we're making for you. Then we actually have a Foundations Plus program where you get to work with Shannon Calorie, our nutritional therapist. We're introducing her in a couple episodes coming up. We have a lot of content that I'm so excited about, and some of it is related to the announcements I'm going to be making at the end of this podcast episode. But you're going to be meeting our nutritional therapist, Shannon Calorie, who is the owner of Pure Nourishment, and she helps our clients just make a shift. I literally just had a call with one of our clients who's doing the Foundations Plus program. She's working with Shannon Calorie, and she said she feels so confident on making the changes, and she is so proud of herself that we were, based off of her tests, we're recommending her go gluten-free and dairy-free. She says this client, she already was way less bloated, had way better energy, her mood was improved, her pain was down in just 1 month, and Shannon was helping her, give her the confidence and just the support to make some of those dietary changes. So that's another way that we work the plan with you, and we've created an option for you so you don't have to go and find somebody else and wonder if they're good and will they understand what you're doing? But we really work as a team, Shannon and I, so that you get all the support that you need. So that is the bird's eye view of the 3 things that we're aiming to achieve as you're working together with us, excluding the specifics of the timeline. And we did get a little bit detailed because, guys, I like details, but we have that better information, a better plan, and working the plan. And that is how we work. And we don't, I think sometimes people come in and they expect, well, we'll randomly do some tests and then you'll tell me what to do. And it's like, no, this is way deeper. You get handouts, you get worksheets to walk away with, where you actually can, have something in your hand. You can print it off and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what the next 6 months look like. You're not going to be stuck on supplements forever. You're not going to be, if there is anything we think might be a long-term change, we let you know in the results call. There are, I'd say, most frequently long-term changes look like diet changes. Sometimes it looks like lifestyle changes. It depends on where you're at and what you've tried. But your body is an intelligent healing creature, device. It's an intelligent being, and it's built to heal. And if it can't heal, we can only assume something's simply in the way of it healing. And you just haven't found what it is yet. So that's the good news. Another thing I wanted to add before we get into the details of the timeline, so you guys kind of understand that better, because again, I'm really hoping and really believing that and hearing from y'all that you are curious what it's like. I wanted to make a note that ultimately working with me and working with us is a partnership. I am a coach. I am a supporter. A coach can not run the race for the athlete. I can help map your way to success, but I cannot do the changes for you. I cannot, force you to do anything. And so the success that you see and that our clients see is ultimately up to them. And I'm consistently so proud of our clients for the things that they overcome and work through and learn about. And the fact that because of that, they see success, that they, it's not just, and the other thing is that they learn it's not just about willpower. It's not just about, I need I'm having cravings and so I need to work harder. One of our clients who I did a coaching call with today, she was saying, she said her appetite was reduced and she was a little nervous. Like, is it bad that I'm not as hungry? And I said, well, are your energy levels fine? Do you feel like you actually can eat enough? Because there can be problems of quick feelings of fullness, and that's a bad thing because you definitely have a harder time getting in the food you want. But she's like, no, I feel like my energy is good. I actually feel like I can eat as much as I want. I just don't, my appetite's actually just less. And I said, that's a good thing. It means your body is using energy more efficiently because you have less inflammation in your body, because we're dealing with pathogens, because we've removed food sensitivities that you didn't know were there. And your body's using energy more efficiently. And the other thing is your microbiome isn't constantly yelling at you through hormones to feed me, because we can have bad bacteria then override our brain. And she's like, I don't need willpower. I don't need willpower to make these changes. And so I do want to encourage you, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know if I'm brave enough or strong enough to make these changes, the things that we do help make you stronger. And so, but at the same time, we do want you to be, it is up to you. It is a partnership. I work so hard. I'm 110% committed to y'all. And we ask you to be 110% committed to your healing. Does that mean it's perfect all the way? Does it mean you never make mistakes? Does it mean you never get tired or want to just give up? I had another 3-month follow-up call with a client this week, and we were just talking and processing about the last 3 months, and she said it went way faster than she was expecting, but there were definitely times where she's like, I'm sick of this, but she sees now, she's so glad she didn't give up, and it was worth it, what she said. So here are the details now that you have the bird's eye overview of the better information, the better plan, and working the plan. The first step that you take in working with us is you apply to work with us by clicking on the 30-minute consultation call link that we have in our podcast episodes. And that 30-minute consultation call, you actually have to apply for it. And that is all the information that we gather. And we're really looking for clients that have already gone through a lot of the process of trying other stuff. We definitely don't want, if you have anything more severe or intense going on or have that potential, we want to rule that out. So it is good that you have talked to your doctor, and a lot of our clients, they've gotten colonoscopies, they've gotten endoscopies, they've gone to nutritionists, and it's not my desire that you don't get better fast, but the truth is that the clients that we are looking to work with, they've looked at everything else, and they already know that the general nutritionist, the general doctor, the general blood work, the general all that stuff isn't working. And so that helps us know you are the right person for us to work with, because you've already exhausted some of the easier stuff that would potentially make things you wouldn't need to work with us in that way. And so we look to see, what are your symptoms? What have you dealt with in the past? How ready are you to work with us? Are you looking to work with us right now? We get a lot of requests for these 30-minute consultation calls, and I'm not able to talk with everybody just because I'm serving our clients. I'm creating this podcast. We're creating our videos and all the content to support you in our 6-month call. So we're really picky about who we talk with. We want to save your time. We want to save our time and make sure you're a good fit. So when you apply for that 30-minute consultation, that's one of the reasons it's so important that you do take the time and you fill out that application. But pretty much once you fill that out, and I personally review them, if you are approved for that call, we can help you. And we've asked all the most pertinent conversational or all the most pertinent questions. That was hard to say. We ask all the most pertinent questions and in that application. And then when we get on the call, it's more just meeting face to face, getting to see your face, you getting to see my face, talking about what your options are, what your goals are, making that connection, and then getting things started. It is about, us talking through what our foundation package fee is, which you actually get prior to the call. If you get approved for the call, you automatically get emailed our package information on what the fees are and what that all looks like. And what, you can either pay it all up front or you can pay it in an installment plan. We have one installment plan that you have an option for to pay monthly and just what that all looks like. We also have information that you get before the call on, what insurance can look like. Does insurance cover the labs or your work with us? And so we have a handout document for you there. So I'm not going to talk about it here just because insurance can also be boring to some people. But that is what it looks like. We have the 30-minute application call. If your application's approved, then you jump on the call with me. Before that call, you already really have all the information that you would need, the cost of the program, the installment plan package, the insurance questions you might have, just all the nitty-gritty details so that when you're on the call, we can actually get going. That is the fun part. So what we do is just say, okay, this is the package we're going to do. Are you going to work with the Foundations package or the Foundations Plus? Setting you up. And by the time you're at the end of that call, you already have some of your next steps of how you are going to start your process. Then what happens after the call is in the background, my assistant and I, we order your labs. They show up at your house. You actually get a welcome gift, which is really phenomenal that we have this fun welcome package that we create for you. And it has fun, trust me, all things that you can eat, things that are healthy for you, things that to support you along the way. And so that's something that you can look forward to. We really want to support you, make you feel good, make you feel cared for as you're going on this process that can be very much somewhat scary. After we order the labs, it takes about a week for them to get to your house. They start showing up. It's like Christmas. You open up the packages. We have videos that help support you and guide you on how to do each lab. Every lab kit has its own instructions in paper, and you collect your samples. Some of it's urine, some of it's stool. For the most part, you might have a hair one or a blood sample. There's instructions all the way through on how to do them. And then you send in your kits, and every kit's different. Some kits take literally 2 days to process. Some of them take 2 to 3 weeks to process. And once we get the results, that's about a month-long process. And so while you're waiting for your labs to come back, you're filling out your intake forms. There's 3 Excel sheets that have all that information, and you're watching the videos that are prepping you. That we have your first 4 foundational videos that come into your inbox are, what are your next steps going to look like? What is your customized health plan? What might it look like? What will your supplements maybe look like? And, what's this all going to look like so that you're just not guessing. You're not like, what am I doing here? Once we have all your results in, you receive a link to schedule your results call. And your results call, when you jump on, you already know it's a 90-minute call. We get your permission to record it, and we go through all of your labs together of what we found, why we're recommending what we're recommending, and how it's going to be changing your health, both your symptoms and also improve what we found on your labs. Once we do that, we then have a coaching call. So, we have your results call, which is technically month 1. A month later, we have a coaching call. A month later, we have a coaching call. That's your number 2. And then 3 months later, 3 months into it, a month later, you have a 3-month follow-up, which is a diving deep, taking those Excel sheets, forms. And my husband, who's a data nerd, he actually has seen these sheets and he's like, this is phenomenal. Because the truth is, the better data you have, the more information points you have, the more the better decisions you can make and understanding things. And so we're actually going to Desi, who's so kindly shared her 3-month follow-up call, actually in the next, probably in about 5 or 6 podcast episodes, she's going to come on, and we have that recorded, her 6-month follow-up call. And she talks about how we actually talk about how we were able to run better labs for her at her 3-month follow-up call because of her intake form. And we were able to find some things very quickly and use our time very efficiently to say, okay, what's going on? And she got even better from her 3-month follow-up to her 6-month follow-up than she ever thought was possible. It was just so cool. And that is our goal. Like, we want to take you further than you even think is possible, further than you remember ever feeling better. And our clients will frequently say, I don't know if I've ever felt this good in my life, or it's been maybe I haven't felt this good since I was in my 20s or since I was a kid. And some of our clients have been sick since they were a kid. So that is, they definitely the best they've ever felt in their life by the time they're 3 months or 6 months into working with us. We do those monthly 3-month follow-up calls, which really helps reorient us to what's going on. And you have the opportunity to do any retesting of labs. So a lab you already did, and just getting a second view on, okay, now where are we? You also have the opportunity to do new labs, and we make that decision together based off of your healing progress, any, if you're plateauing in any of your areas of your symptoms, or if you have lingering or worsening symptoms, it can tell us and give us a hint that something else is going on, and nothing is random. So, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And I see that this is some of the difference that our work makes that is not happening elsewhere. And I don't always know why. I'm not a mind reader. Sometimes people get on our 30-minute calls and they're like, well, why haven't I gotten better with my functional doctor or my integrative doctor or my nutritionist? And I don't know exactly what they've done with you. And that's not what the point of that 30-minute consultation call. Because typically it does take a couple months for our clients to say, they'll finally get to their 3-month call and say, now I understand what my nutritionist never did. Now I understand what my functional doc or integrative doc never did. And it does take us a while to tease out, like, what was the difference. And all I can say is the patterns I've seen thus far are things like they didn't read the labs in depth enough. They didn't look at all your symptoms. They just totally forgot that histamine problems is a thing, and it wasn't even on their radar. So they weren't even looking for certain problems, or weren't kind of open to it. They didn't spend a lot of time with you, which meant they didn't understand your case very well. That's kind of the way it ranges of, like, why, is this different? And so once we do the coaching, I mean, that is, we make tweaks along the way, and you have the opportunity to do extra testing at the 3-month mark, and then you get, your lab tests back, and we make tweaks at your 5th coaching call, or your 4th coaching call, your 5th coaching call, and then your 6th coaching call is your final call. And at that point, I mean, there's just major change. And our clients consistently say, telling me it was going to take 6 months felt like forever. And at the same time, when they look back, they say, it really wasn't that long. It really wasn't that long. And maybe even for you to think about if something you did 6 months ago, or if you've been doing something for 6 months now, it's long if it doesn't work. But if it does work, time just flies. You feel better every day, and it's totally worth it. And I was just so floored by this that I will share it now, that Desi on her 6-month final call with us that will be airing probably again in 6 weeks or so. She said that I asked her, if she had to give a percentage of how much time she has back, or how much quality of energy she has back. So prior to working with us and now, she said, like, what's the improvement in percentage in her energy quality? She said 90%. I didn't think it was going to be that high. I mean, that's phenomenal. And so that's a question I'm going to continue asking our clients, like, what's the percentage of improvement of the quality of your energy? It's not like our clients are just like falling asleep or, some of them are, but it's not so much that you're just not awake or you're not available those certain hours. It's just you're you're in pain, or you're not able to focus, or you're foggy headed. And so the quality of the energy is really poor. And she said there was a 90% improvement. And so that is, month 0, which is labs, versus month 1, where we start the plan, to month 6. A couple things that I wanted to add also into this podcast episode is things like fears, doubts, and concerns that my clients have tended to have, and you might have them too. One is, this won't work for me. That is the most common thing. And honestly, I see this as a result partly of, I've been there. Let's be real. Like I've shared with y'all that, and it might be hard for you. I almost feel like I'm not believed because I was just sick for so long, and now I'm not. So it's like, you haven't been there, really, Allison. But I have been there where I felt like I would never really get better, and I didn't know if it was cruel to myself to hope or to try to get better. Maybe I just had to be content with where I was at, and that was the law of life there. And it won't work for me it's just not true. You have not gotten every piece of data. If you have not done a stool pathogen test, even if you have, it still doesn't, but especially if you haven't, if you haven't done food sensitivity test, if you haven't looked at every facet, if you've only really looked at maybe diet and maybe some, colonoscopies, endoscopies, antibiotics, if you've only really looked at that, that's really a very small piece of the pie. We look at, I had a list here: pathogen protocols, nutrient rehab, reestablishing the production of stomach acid and bile and pancreatic enzymes, healing thyroid hormones, healing the adrenal glands, healing your liver so that you can detox, healing your skin. It is everything in there, and getting your systemic inflammation down. That helps your sinuses. There is nothing that we don't touch. And so it won't work for me is a concern. It was a concern for Abby. It was a concern for my client. Blinking on her name right now. Starts with an L, but yes, L. We'll call her. These were common things that this won't work with me, or we'll find nothing on the labs. And my heart goes out to that fear, because it shows how much we've been brainwashed by being told that there's nothing wrong with our labs. And that actually has to do with the announcement I'm making. I'm so excited, guys. Seriously, so excited for this announcement of this project I've been working on just for you. If you have been feeling brainwashed, and this wasn't planning on transitioning right here, but if you've been feeling a little bit like somebody's been lying to you, like gaslighting you on, like by somebody, your doctors, yourself, your spouse, your nutritionist, of why you're feeling the way you're feeling, I actually have a tool for you that I'm creating, or have created, that you can take that into your own hands and get some answers. But that whole, it won't work for me, that's one of the fears. And every client of mine that's been assuaged, I know that word isn't used a lot, but it's been assuaged. They've felt better. It did work for them. Another fear, it's all in my head. That is something that Desi recently shared, that she really feared that this is just in her head. It's not really in her body. None of her other family members felt really bad. And so she's just making it up to get attention, or because she's weak-minded or something. And so it wasn't all in her head. I'd say most of the time that's one of the reasons that our clients feel so relieved when they see their lab test results, because it's showing that it's not in their head. And then, the other fears, like my lab test will be empty. It just hasn't happened. You can't have symptoms the way you're having symptoms and the lab test be empty. And the problem is that you're like, well, that's already been the case with certain lab tests. And that's just because of, you can look back at the podcast episode, why my doctors say my labs look normal if I don't feel normal. That is going to be so key to really understanding what's going on and how we're all getting gaslighted by being told that nothing is wrong with us. It just makes me want to tear my hair out. And so please, listener, know that you are not stuck. You are not stuck. And there are answers. And that really does get into our announcement time. Our announcement time. So this is actually a course that I am have created for you to personally go through. It is super affordable. I mean, you're never going to find anything at this price. And also, not only honestly affordable is not the best quality of it, because A, it's going to make changes for you, and B, it's actually, I've never seen this available anywhere. And so I've been kind of trying to think for a while if I could make something for y'all to give to you that you could actually learn how to do something and get a tool in your hands to really take your health into your hands and find what your doctors missed on your own and get that kind of confidence boost, but also get some guidance on your next steps. I feel like a lot of my clients, when I get on a 30-minute call, they just say, I just want the next steps. That's all I want. And that if they're like, if I had the next steps, I just do them. That's not the problem. Isn't, whether or not you're going to activate. The problem is just knowing what to do. And so this course, it's called Blood Lab Bootcamp, and it is launching September 1st. I am so jazzed. Blood Lab Bootcamp is a course where we go over and I teach you how to read your own blood chemistry, find what your doctors miss, and take back your health. Not only that, you get to learn along the way what your next steps can be to finding what's going on and getting hints, because blood lab chemistry, the coolest thing, and the reason I'm so jazzed about this, one, is I believe every woman deserves to have health literacy. And I am serious about this. I want you to think about reading literacy. Reading literacy is and was the key to not just women, but anybody who was poor or low on the socioeconomic status. Being literate was what made you free. Being literate enabled you to have higher level jobs. Being literate enabled you to not be taken advantage of via contracts or all these different things. Being literate helped slaves get free in America in the South because they were able to read signs that said in or read signs that said this city is north and this city is south. If you can't read signs, like literally street signs, you might know what a McDonald's is because of the yellow bar or something, but you can't read if the street says this is Washington Street or this is Ellsworth or this is whatever it is. You don't know where you're at. You have no ability to read the map. And so literacy, health literacy, is about learning to read the signs. And I talk about symptoms actually a lot in the course. But it's really focusing on the signs of your blood chemistry that your doctor is missing because your doctor doesn't read the blood chemistry the same way. So number one, I'm so excited because health literacy is the key to freedom. You don't have to take someone else's word for it. You don't have to feel powerless. And I think that one of the reasons we're not being trained to do health literacy is because I think it's multifactorial, but I think one of the things that we believe, or maybe other people believe for us, is it's too hard. So it is not too hard. I read blood chemistry. I'm not smarter than anyone else. I simply had some tools and had some training and was taught myself how to read blood chemistry from a functional standpoint. And so this is, something that I believe every woman should have. It changes your life. Once you learn it once, you can literally use it for the rest of your life. And the other thing is everybody has blood chemistry, or pretty much everybody has blood chemistry. And it's kind of that almost like useful, slightly overwhelming thing I remember getting blood chemistry done especially when I was going to a gynecologist and I didn't have a period and for like 2 years, and they just kept on running all this blood work, and I was like, I don't know what this all says, and you can kind of see where the markers are high or low, or there's this huge green section and everything's green, and you're like, how can all this be in the green section when I feel so horrible? And that has to do with something called standard lab ranges, which again, not really going to dive into right now, but it has to do with this fact that these lab ranges are exorbitantly large and they're not actually healthy ranges. For a healthy person, a range of these markers would be much smaller. And so when I teach you to read blood chemistry, not only do I teach you what every blood marker means, I also teach you and I give you a handout where you can fill out in an Excel sheet all your blood chemistry markers and see in this functional sheet, in this functional range where it's actually healthy, like an actually healthy person, you can see where you stand. And from that, find patterns your doctor would never find because they're not looking at a functional lab range. Not only can you learn how to look at it from a functional lab range, I teach you how to view every single marker in a multi-layered way. So I want you to think about the fact that glucose, when it's high, the only thing I ever hear doctors say is, what are you eating? Like, are you eating a lot of carbs, or are you eating a lot of sugar? And yes, eating sweets can be a problem with glucose levels on blood chemistry, but there's like 5 other things that can be, I guess you could say, wrong, or 5 other things that could be not optimal that could cause blood sugar levels to be high on a blood chemistry test. And that is just not talked about. And so that is one of my favorite things. I teach you basically exactly how I interpret blood chemistry. I give you the tools so you can do it yourself on your blood chemistry. And I also give you a handout where you can, if you don't have any recent blood chemistry, if you don't know what blood chemistry markers you should have, if you feel like you're missing some, I tell you which ones you want to get from your doctor. And so there's a handout. You can just give it to your doctor and say, I would like these ordered. If your doctor won't order them, we can order them for you if you want to have new blood chemistry markers. But if you have any blood chemistry at all, you can do this course. You can use it, analyze it, and get more information. I actually had, this is pretty much what I do with my clients in what I call my health strategy sessions, is we don't do any other deeper lab testing. We just do blood chemistry and our health intake forms, and we help dial in on what is probably going on. Did you know that there are blood chemistry markers that can actually point to you having a bacterial infection or a viral infection or a parasite? It has to do with, your all these different markers, which I teach about, in their balance. And it's been amazing when I do blood chemistry at the same time as our other labs. It always matches up and never tells a false story. And so blood chemistry is something super available, super findable for everybody. And it means that you have a tool already that you can use. And I'm going to teach you how to use it and how to interpret it and what it means. And then not most importantly, but also how to talk with your doctor once you've analyzed them, how to have a conversation with your doctor of, doctor, I analyze my labs in this way. What do I do? And how can we work together, and what it means for you? And so really thinking about your next steps. And when I have gone through blood chemistry with my clients in their health strategy sessions, which is a little different than, it's a smaller, just a 1-to-1, 1-hour conversation that I have instead of doing the whole foundations program. Some clients will just do this 1-hour session. They have cried when we do their blood chemistry because they realize that they are validated. They're not making it up in their head. And I did this blood chemistry work when I miscarried in January of 2021, which is the year this is all being recorded. When I miscarried, the first thing I did is I emailed my PCP and I said, I would like to run these blood chemistry. And I sent her what I wanted and the specific markers I wanted included. And she ran them for me. I'd say not all doctors are that easy, but she's great. She understands what I do, and she's a DO. And so it was particularly easy with her. And I'm going to teach you exactly what I did, that when I ran my blood chemistry for myself, what I found and how it then led me to discovering new things, and how my health is better today in July of 2021 than it was in January of 2021, even though I'd say I felt pretty good in January of 2021, other than the miscarriage, which was not fun. And so this is something I think, if I could download information to every single woman about one thing, it would be this. And this course is going to be a steal. Guys, it is phenomenal. This course will never be this price again. I'm going to be selling this course for $497. It's never going to be this price again. It's the pilot version of this course. And also, if you sign up for this first version, or this first reveal of this course, you get a bonus. And that bonus is at the end, or a month into doing this course, you are going to have the opportunity to jump on a group call with me. And if you have any questions from the course, if you have blood chemistry questions, if you want some input, or have me look at different parts of your blood chemistry, we're going to be doing a group Zoom call and looking at blood chemistry, and you're going to be able to have an hour and a half with me of looking at all these different things and learning more about your blood chemistry, having that, being able to ask me questions one-to-one for one-to-one coaching and consultation. I mean, that on its own, that group coaching call is worth in itself the price of the course. This course is going to have a limit of 25 members also. So there, you can't just buy anything. It has to be, but buy it any time. Once the course fills up, that's it. You won't be able to buy it again until we reopen it. We don't have a plan on when we're going to reopen the course, but I can tell you when it gets reopened, it will not be this price again. If you are wanting to jump into this course, get that information, be able to read your labs, be able to have that power in your hands and take back your health, registration is going to open August 25th, and it is going to stay open until September 8th. But if the course fills up, it fills up, and that is it. So if you want to be the first to know about that course opening, the soon as it opens on August 25th, there is going to be a link in the show notes for you to join the waitlist, and you will be the first to know and have first access to the course when it opens up on August 25th. Guys, I am so excited for this course. It'll be self-paced, so you can, if you want to do your lab analysis like all in one day, you can do all of your lab analysis. And for those of you who know a little bit about labs, I will also include that it will include the comprehensive metabolic panel. It will include looking at complete blood count. It'll look at your thyroid panel, your lipid panel, and your iron panel, as well as some additional markers like histamine and homocysteine and even vitamin D. And just looking, and so, I mean, that's pretty much all the most common things that your doctors run for you. If you want to know how to read these things today, tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, track your own health, be an advocate for yourself, and be able to create your own next steps and see where you have healing opportunities in your health, this course is going to be it. I am so excited to be working with my 25 students in this course, going through the videos and then ending off with, on September 29th, we'll end off with a group Zoom call. One last thing to know about this course is that when you do it, the information is available to you forever. You don't ever lose access to the coursework or the videos or any of that. It is yours to keep. It's yours to review and go back to again and again as many times as you need to. So even though the course is going to start on September 1st, and we're going to have that group Zoom call on September 29th. It doesn't matter. Like, you can still continue to go back to these videos. It's yours to keep. And it is never going to be this price again, let me tell you. This is a steal. I intentionally priced it lower so that as many people could join as possible, and I am just so excited to see you guys on this. So if you want to be the first to know about this course, go down to the show notes, click the link, and join the waitlist. Guys, I am so excited I'm just so jazzed. I'm still on a high from talking about this course. I dreamed it up a couple months ago and just realized how important it is. After time, all of my clients keep crying when they read their blood chemistry and they see how validated they are, that they're not making things up in their head. And so I'm going to come off of that mountaintop there for a moment and just say thank you for listening. Our listeners have really grown a lot over the last few months. So if you're new to the Better Belly podcast, I just want to say hi. Thanks for joining. I hope that today was helpful or intriguing to you. I hope that you see hope for your health. I hope that you also listen to some of our other podcasts. We put the best information out there. I honestly try to always put information that I never found on blogs or found elsewhere when I was on my health journey. And so if you love this podcast episode or you've been listening for a while, I encourage you to subscribe so you can get all the episodes coming on down the line. And if you thought of someone as you were listening to this podcast episode, I keep hearing of all these people who are sharing with their friends or family about our podcast and how it's encouraging them. And I love it. I love I have a friend who says the good juju. It's so true. And so if you thought of someone while you're listening to this podcast episode, I encourage you, just take a screenshot, send it to them, say there is hope. Hey, I thought of you. This might be encouraging to you. It would mean so much to me, and I'm sure even more to them. Other ways that you can stay in the conversation is by following us on Instagram and Facebook at Better Belly Therapies. I love connecting with our listeners and hearing what you guys are finding interesting and learning about fun facts about yourself, and just getting to develop relationships. So as a reminder, it's okay if things don't become perfect today, because miracles are immediate. We love miracles. We want something to happen as quickly as possible, but healing takes time. And so I'm committed to you. I'm committed to your healing, and I'm committed to the time that it takes, because you can get better. See you guys next week.